of Freckles, and I'm back with another video to help you get your perfect nanny. So in this video, it's all about interviewing and what to think about in terms of the CV when you get that application. How do you create your shortlist, and how do you make sure you are only spending your time interviewing the best of the best? So the first thing you need to think about is what's important to you. Now this should relate back to what you've written in your advert and the things that you brought in that were key elements and that were really essential, either when you wrote your ad if you were going DIY, or when you gave your agency the brief when you engaged them to look for somebody for you. If you had a really clear advert and you'd spent some time doing that, then it should correlate that the applicants you're getting should, in theory, be able to take most of those boxes. Now, it varies from agency to agency how much they really relate to what you're saying, and sometimes they will just send you a selection that they have. Sometimes they'll really invest and spend a lot of time trying to make sure that that hits that criteria. Now, some of the things that we often see is that we write down what we think we want, and then we get it and we go, we don't want this, or actually that's not essential, or that's really not a deal breaker, or I'm really flexible on that point actually. And you surprise yourself with kind of what you realise is to be utterly key and more of a nice to have. So don't worry too much if things change, but use the opportunity of getting profiles and seeing applicants as a chance to either reaffirm what you want or to iterate your role slightly if that's the role, if that is what you decide. Now, if you're doing it on your own, you really need to get clear on these things that are really important, and you will be the person that's seeing that first applicant, that CV, as it comes in. So generally what happens on job platforms is that people can send over an attachment, and they can also write an email or a covering letter to go with that. I personally feel that a covering letter has a lot of weight, and if I feel that that covering letter is specific to me and my role, then I'm really inclined to forgive anything that's in the CV that might not be excellent, because that person's invested time. Now, you will be able to spot whether a covering letter is being written as a generic across the board one, and you'll also be able to tell if a CV has been personalised and adapted to your role. So I would look out for those two things personally are really important. Other things to look for are, is the layout good? Is that something that you think is attractive? Is that important to you though? Do you really care about that? Or is that something that you really value? Value different things in different ways. So for me, layout is important, but not necessarily at that point. So I want to kind of get a vibe for that person, and for us as a company, personality is definitely the most important thing, and I want to see that they're invested in that. Do you want to be looking for things like experience? Is that important? And making sure that that's really clear. Is it experience as a nanny in general? Is experience with your age range? Is nursery experience all right? Is no experience, is experience not important? Do you want to see that they've got an interest in the hobbies that your children like? What is of value, and making sure that those are picked up on at that stage. You then want to come up with your shortlist. Going DIY, I would suggest this is the most labour intensive stage, and so I would pre-prepare responses to go out to applications, people that applied for a job. Send out that response saying, please can you send me further information if you haven't got their CV at that stage. A good screening way is to do a phone call with them and just have a quick chat. Do you like them on the phone, basically, if they've got a good manner that suits you? And if not, then you know that it's probably not worth pursuing. I would suggest replying to everybody. It can seem a bit annoying at the time, but I think for me it's a karma thing. I feel like if you're that way with people, then you'll get somebody great. But that's just personal craziness probably. If your agency is doing it, you'd hope that they will be fully briefed on your profile and on what you need and what is important to you. If they send you somebody you really like the look of, amazing. If they send you somebody and you're going, no, give them feedback. So I love feedback. I love it when a client goes, Jo, they're not right because of X, Y, and Z. Fantastic, because I can take that and I can work with that and I can make it better. No feedback means that I don't know what I've done wrong, or I don't know how this person's not hitting the criteria, because your situation might have changed. You might have changed how important that driving status is or whatever. So feedback is really, really key. key, and it really helps the agency to make sure that they're not wasting your time. Get your shortlist together, get your interview set up. Your agency should sort this out for you. If you're doing it yourself, I would recommend that you have about 3 to interview, if 3 make your shortlist. So set those up. Personally, I would suggest that you interview on your own, well, without children initially, so you can have a good conversation. Allow 45 minutes to an hour, definitely. And if you're doing back-to-back interviews, then I would allow an hour and a half between each, so you can have a bit of a debrief and re-gear for the next one. That sounds quite intense, I know, but it's really worth doing it properly. This is the same with your agency. You can tell them when you want to interview and what your availability is like. If your children are around, it's not a deal, but don't worry, it's not a big deal. Just use that as an opportunity to see what they're like with your kids, and bear in mind that, you know, there are distractions and stuff going on at the same time, so you might not be able to get through the nitty-gritty. If you like somebody after their first interview, get them back again. Get them back and get them to spend some time with your kids, and make sure you ask your kids' opinion. So most of our kids are pretty vocal. They're going to be more than confident to say, more than happy to say to Mummy, I like this one, Daddy, I don't like him, Mummy, I don't like that, they were really fun, they played with me, they made my Lego castle, whatever. And that's really helpful, because although you don't have to always take your kid's opinion, it is useful, because they're pretty good judges of character. So that was what I would say. One thing that I think is really key as well is always try and have a comparison. So always try and interview 2, because that will help you, even if you think candidate A is really, really strong and actually is everything you want, candidate B, some of it, but you just don't think they're quite as good, interview them both, because that will really reaffirm in your sense of belief that candidate A really is the person for you. And you never know, you might surprise yourself what you think of candidate B. So it's hard because our requirements quite often they change, but it helps us to reaffirm what we really want and to drill down what's really, really key for us and what's really important. So make sure you're honest with yourself, get your good brief, make sure that's all lined up, and if you're using an agency, give them feedback and make sure they're on side with you. That's everything. There is going to be the principle that goes with this will go through lots of the interview questions, so they will really help, and it has a lot of the structure around what questions to ask, open questions, how to get them to engage, how to get them to relax, and how to get the most amount of value out of that time. So I would always kind of get them in, give them a cup of tea, get them to relax, kind of ask really easy questions. You want to be like, so what's going on in your life, blah blah blah. Just get them to open up and let them go off on kind of tangents initially, I suggest, it's my opinion, because then I think you get more of a free flow, and then you can start to drill down on experience and why they left previous jobs, what they liked, what they didn't like potentially, what they feel challenges them, stuff like that. But that printable will have all that information on with all the questions, so make sure you download that. I really hope you found that helpful, and if you have any questions, then just drop us an email, pop a note in the comments, and we will help you out. And so yeah, have a wonderful day, and we'll be back for some more videos where we go about making the decision, and then we think about the paperwork, and we go through all the other bits and pieces as well. So I look forward to speaking to you soon, and take care for now. Bye!